So we're Andrew and Carla from Whiskey Wealth in Wanderlust. Come with us. We're sipping on some whiskey right now. I wanted to go through kind of our real estate journey of the rent versus buy. Carla and I bought our first house a little over 11 years ago. We bought it with an FHA loan. At the time, we just scraped into this house for $265,000 in Sacramento, California. And it was hard for us to get it, but we made it work, and we ended up with 3 or 4 renters living with us as we lived there. But that really set us up for a lot of success that we had now. It took years to do, but that original house, we spent, over the course of a year fixing it up, painting and doing everything that we could in there that we could afford to make it better. And that really helped us down the road.
It was a great starter house. We both had very modest jobs. I was working in the field of ABA. You were working at the sheriff's department.
Yep.
And so we both had very moderate salaries, and I had a mass ton of student loans that we had to pay for, and started off with the FHA loan to get us in and get us started.
Yeah, and that's a great way to start. The FHA loan doing 3.5% down, and there's all kinds of different programs. I've heard of different programs if you're teachers and other different fields. But if you can get into a house, and of course 3.5% down, on a $400,000 house, it's you're looking at 15 to 20 grand that you're gonna have to scrape together once you get all your closing costs done. But if you can scrape that together through whatever means and get into a place, that's really going to set you up. Once you do that and you're making those payments and paying down your house, and hopefully you can refinance into a conventional loan down the road and get rid of that PMI payment, or refinance out, pull money out and then buy more houses. We've done that to buy more rentals, and that's a great way to build wealth.
When I was first looking into buying a house, and we were going to go to the FHA route, but I didn't know what PMI was at the time. So can you explain to the new home buyer, if they're going to, especially, not put 20% down conventional, what is PMI?
Yeah, and I'm not a mortgage broker, but PMI, my understanding, is property mortgage insurance, and that is backed by the federal government, so they will pay your mortgage if you're not able to, meaning they're backing the loan with this insurance through the federal government.
I think it added another, and so we bought our house for $265 in 2013.
Yep.
And I think at the time PMI added $200 a month or so onto
about 10% of our mortgage payment.
Our mortgage payment we were not anticipating at the time.
Yeah, it was. We kind of knew about it, but it was more than what we were thinking, and it really stretched us. That was one of the reasons why we ended up getting roommates. And that really helped to pay down our mortgage too. So I think a lot of people are reluctant to have other people in their house, and I get that. We had what would have been 8-year-old son at the time, and you don't necessarily want to have strangers in your house, but if it's the difference between renting and buying, I'm a huge advocate for buying houses. It's such, so many people have built their wealth off of real estate. I know that we have, and however you can scrape it together to buy a house, I am on board with that.
It's your security.
Right.
Not only as a place to live, but also as an investment.
Yeah, it's a hedge against inflation. Your taxes are going to go up, but you also have control. Like, your rent's not going to go up.
And there's more write-offs potentially that you can be doing as a homeowner.
Yeah, and more expenses, because if the windows, if you need to replace the windows or your HVAC goes out.
I've got stories about that, don't we?
We do about that. But, that's the best place to start that I can think of. And getting that first primary residence and then leveraging that into something else. If you can leverage that, refinance it, and buy a rental, and then start paying that down. And just so many people have been able to do that, and it's a great way to build wealth. It's just being able to leverage your house to buy cars and do all kinds of different stuff. It's such a great tool to help build your net worth.
I remember when we would, I think we just owned the one house, but we needed to get a new car.
Yep.
And we were more easily able to get credit cards and get auto loans because we owned our house.
Yeah, there's advantages. It's not that hard to buy a car, but it did help. And
Yeah.
there's even just like advantages to getting your insurance when you can bundle all those together.
Right.
Just a lot of people are going to have car insurance and then insurance on their home, but if you start getting into like life insurances and umbrella coverages for your whole life, it's can be significantly cheaper.
Yeah, so kind of in essence what we've done is bought however we could, scraped together down payments, begged,
Yeah.
borrowed from family to help out with that, was able to get into the house, find roommates to help support
Yeah.
that mortgage payment. So it was less financial burden on us all together.
Yeah.
And then once our income went up, a few years later, we were able to use that house as a rental, move into another kind of like not a nicer house, not as entry level as our starter.
Correct.
And then just kind of rinse and repeat from there, because the real estate market tends to stay pretty steady.
Yeah.
Minus our 2008, and minus sometimes in history, but overall, when you're looking at the broad spectrum, that real estate market really just trends up. What is it, doubling every 10 years or so? Is that the statistic?
I'd have to look at it, but
Yeah.
there's ebbs and flows, and right now in late 2024, the interest rates are higher than they've been in years and years, but they're a lot of people are saying that they're trending down, and we'll see. So
Yeah.
right now can be a great time. We bought the house we're in right now in 2019, and the interest rates were about 2% higher than what we were able to get in 2020.
Yeah.
But you can refinance the house,
Right.
and I think a lot of people that I've spoken to, sometimes they want to find the perfect house, and I think that's not a great way to look at things. If it's going to take years and years to do that, or you're waiting for these perfect circumstances, they're never going to come. It's like having a kid. You just got to do it. And it's just, you need to buy the house because something's going to happen in the market or in your personal life. And it's just, you just got to figure it out and get it done. Assuming you can financially.
Right.
But
And that's not a privilege, right? That is available to everyone right now. But I think,
Right.
having that mindset of being creative, how can I make this happen for me with what I have now? And sometimes that means going to school and getting a higher paying job, or taking a couple different jobs, even if it's, for the next couple of years, right? It's not forever. It's for a shorter term period where
Yeah.
you really hustle and make it work.
Right.
And maybe sacrifice some other things, taking a look at your budget. We didn't really go out to eat a whole lot. We, weren't buying pretty lavish cars or anything like that. And we just got by with what we needed to get by.
Yeah, and you worked extra hours and did all the things that
Yeah.
you need to do, but it's
Worked a lot, put in a lot of hours, and having roommates, which was not fun. I mean, having roommates is something out of a necessity sometimes, and that's fine. But we realize the value of it versus renting in an apartment or renting a house long term. The short term effort and time and money that you're putting into it, long term, is just very much worth it to consider.
Yeah, and where we're at now, we're looking to buy a bunch of rentals, dozens in the next 6 months or so. So I invite you all to come along and see what we get done. This is new for us too. We spoke to our broker today about some of the real estate investments we're going to be doing. So we invite you to come along on our journey to see what's next and see what we can scrape together. We're going to be doing content on all that. So hopefully you come along.
Yeah, and you can learn from us and learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, lots of mistakes.
We'll share all the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
What is this, by the way?
Nectar's 10.
Delicious.